As bad guys want to blow us away, the president is focused more, it seems, on giveaways. President Obama signing a memorandum for mandatory sick leave for federal workers today. To the Fox Biz All-Stars on if all of these government goodies are meant to just be a distraction or they're warranted. Lizzie McDonald, Rob Basso, Tracy Burns. Tracy, what do you think?
I think foreign policy has been his weakest link since he stepped foot into the Oval Office, and it still is. And the general said, you know, ignore it and it'll go away. I sometimes feel like that is policy because I don't think he truly knows how to handle it. I think he's in over his head with all this, and we're so behind the eight ball, and unfortunately, ignorance is just making it worse. I
think he figures that war issues, Americans are tired, these terror threats notwithstanding, Rob. And he's saying on issues like these, they test poll well. Mandatory days off, mandatory coverage, sick days. It does resonate, and I'm wondering whether he's just getting the base together.
This is political misdirection at the worst possible timing. The New York Post said it great today, and actually one of their cartoons, they had a picture of Obama watching a football game while the rest of the world leaders marched in Paris. That's where the focus should be. Focusing on
uncanny that's exactly what he was doing.
The Family Sick Leave Act. Also, he also introduced potentially free college for for folks. What is this timing? He's trying to build his legacy, but not take care of American safety. It's atrocious.
Yeah, the White House people do get back to me, like the gardener and the chef, Lizzie. They say, Neil, we can walk, talk, and chew gum at the same time. We are doing other things.
Right.
And I say, well, show me.
Yeah.
And then that phone year dials.
Yeah, you're right. And can they really, work and chew gum at the same time? Because listen, we've had the health exchanges hacked. We have the IRS giving out earned income tax credits, $13 billion fraudulently there. And we still have, terrorist cells here operating in the United States that we may not be able to catch.
So why is he doing all this other nonsense?
Because it's a populist, middle-class taxpayer giveaway.
And he wants to tempt Republicans to reject it.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
You look like you're against sick days, that sort of thing.
Yeah, you're against sick days, free community college.
Santa Claus.
You're the bad guys, and so they paint him into a corner.
He was elected to change the face of America, and that's what he's trying to do. He's got 2 more years to do it, and he's trying to leave his legacy.
But I think that he truly doesn't have like that. We're going to kill you oomph in him. He doesn't.
See, I'm not that negative a view on his farm, but I think, he did take out Osama bin Laden, say right. Well. He does have a record on some of these things that would at least hint a potential to take on terror.
Neil, but his policy, it's so cynical.
You're just a hater, by the way, but go ahead.
It's so cynical because, somebody has to pay for these. I get it that you don't want people coming into work sick and making you sick, but, businesses have to pay for it.
I'm here to make your lives miserable.
Well, you'll get sick leave, but, you won't have a job when you come back.
Let the free market.
Do you get paid, by the way?
No, I didn't even know they got paid.
I just found out.
Let the free market decide. Let employers decide how much time they're going to give their employees.
Sick leave is so irrelevant in what's happening in this world right now.
Bingo. I think you just hit on it. With all the priorities going on.
Yes.
I just think sick leave goes down the bench.
Yes.
Get
your flu shot and move on.
The general said it the best. How can we fight an enemy that we're unwilling to name? I don't get it. It doesn't make any sense.
Maybe
Islamic extremists.
Unless the enemy is back in a tent saying, oh, they do have sick leave. All right. So you're the CEO of Gallup. Tell it. The economy is more important to our security than the military. Here's why he says we're losing the war. Actually, both of those wars after this. Well, 280 grand. That's how much Credit.com says you will be paying in interest over the course of your lifetime. That is enough for a second house. For a lot of people, enough for a first house. Back with the All-Stars. If there's any way to avoid this knee-deep interest hell. Trace.
It's pretty bad, right? And unfortunately, like New York, New Jersey, California, we have big mortgage interest payments to boot. So that adds to the number at the end of the day. The credit card, though, that's self-inflicting. You have to kind of just manage that. Truth is, if you could, credit card debt kills your credit score. Home equity lines do not. So if you're in a position to potentially do that now, get that credit card debt on a home equity line and start yourself clean, and that will bring your credit score up.
Right.
To add on to what Tracy said, if you live in the beautiful state of Iowa, you pay only $120,000 in lifetime interest. The housing costs make a dramatic difference. Americans love their credit cards. We love to have those extra dollars in our pocket. The truth is, we're still full bloated with debt. We shed some of it over the last 5 years. Now we're starting to build it back again.
Right.
We need to be careful about the money that we're spending that we don't have.
But a lot of this is stuff over which we have control, even when it comes to mortgages, right? We tend to latch on to whoever says yes. But the fact of the matter is that could be a pricier mortgage. Right?
Yeah, that's right, because the information is coming from the lender or the real estate broker, the person has stake in the game. Newsflash, money isn't free, and when people pay,
Whoa.
write that down, everybody. When people pay, it's not free. When people pay, interest on their credit cards, I have to say, what are you doing? Don't do that. That's really dumb.
But a lot of people can't afford to pay the whole thing.
I know they will, but then use cash. You're paying 20, 18,
But they want the big screen TV.
But listen, to your point. Wait, hang on. But to your point, recession is when you're supposed to restructure your debt. It's only down $1 trillion. It went from 12.7 trillion to 11.7 trillion. You're right. People are still really indebted, so they do have to pay attention.
I don't think it's fair to say though that's because of the big screen. During hard times, people were charging food. I mean, if you don't have the money, you don't have the money, and unfortunately, you have a credit card, and that as long as you keep paying that minimum balance, it's there. So the
best way, guys, real quick advice from each of you to how to bring this number down, so at least it's not almost 300 grand.
Shop around for a mortgage. I think a lot of people, because it was so hard to get one for so long, it was like waiting for somebody to ask you to the prom. You went with the first guy that asked you. You don't have to do that anymore. Shop around for a mortgage.
Not in my case, but all right.
It's also about education. 40% of Americans are in over their head and they can't pay their regular debt. The simple fact is, if you're going to shop and cut coupons and shop for the best deals on items, absolutely shop for a mortgage. And don't just ask your real estate agent because they have a vested interest in it.
That's you mentioned the answer.
Yeah, newsflash. You know what really bothers me about this mortgage survey, though? It came from the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. You know what? We don't need those surveys from you, which this is Elizabeth Warren's outfit. We need you to do things like, probe the hacks into the health exchanges. Why are we paying these bureaucrats to do surveys like this? Like newsflash, get a better rate on your mortgage. Really? Really?
It's even worse doing a segment on it. Really.
I can't believe it. I'm in shock.
Lizzie can't make it for a couple of the next segments we have. It's a pity. Meanwhile, more and more people, calls from Taken are happening. Don't believe me? In 2 minutes, I'm going to show you the proof.
All right.
Well, in tonight's Biz Blitz, did Carlos Slim just say newspapers have a chance? The Uber or Ubero billionaire is more than doubling his stake in the New York Times, becoming the embattled paper's largest shareholder. Lizzie, what do we think of this?
Yeah, he joins Amazon's Jeff Bezos, buying the Washington Post. Newspapers are here to stay, but they got to change to survive. I mean, some of these front
page... Great vote of confidence with something like that.
Well, what I'm saying is if some of these front page writers at the New York Times, they are so long, so windy, everybody thinks they're Ernest Hemingway on the front page of the New York Times, and it's like the train of thought is making all local stops. Let's go off on any tangent. In the internet age, you cannot be like that. You cannot write like that. You got to hold your audience. You got to have solid... The Times does have pretty good reporting. You got to have really news-breaking stories, but written well and written short.
I think this is a sign. I mean, ARP might as well have come in and invested in these newspapers. This is a sign of senility. These newspapers are going away. Our kids are not going to read newspapers.
You'll always need the content, though.
But you're not going to have it in paper form.
All right, so you don't. That doesn't mean that he's not making foolish investments.
I don't know.
People want the newspaper on the train.
This is not Carlos's first stint with the New York Times.
Right.
He loaned them $250 million back in 2009 at 14% interest, mind you, and made a boatload of money. But
he really won't move the needle, right? I mean, the Class B shares are still owned by largely the Sulzberger.
That's correct.
Right?
And the challenge is, how is it going to be delivered to us? What aggregator? Where are you going to be going to your news? I read the New York Times, I read the Wall Street Journal, Politico, but it's all on my devices. I never touch a piece of paper.
But that doesn't mean the content goes away.
The content needs to be there. I think we're all in agreement that the content needs to be there.
No, you're just surrounded by haters.
No, but Lizzie's right. If you can't say it in 140 characters or less, they're not going to read it. The ad generation has ADD. They are not reading any kind of love.
Yeah.
All right. On to issue 2, Facebook at Work unleashed on the business world. It's an app letting colleagues communicate with each other on the social site. Rob, does this have
give Facebook a lot of credit. They're trying to catch a market wave that's going to be happening.
What's the market wave?
Well, the market wave is being able to communicate through these social mediums for a business end, to make sure that your business runs better, your staff communicates better. But I think the problem is Facebook has a history of data mining. How are these small or large companies going to trust that Facebook is actually not going to be taking the data, even though they say they're not going to be?
All right.
But I agree with Rob. And, you know, even though Facebook says it's not going to sell ads on this, but, you know,
Eventually
you're absolutely right. It's about data mining. It's about getting more market information. And Tracy and I are already starting to communicate via social media just about you, Neil. So just so you know,
Oh, I
it's
am
coming.
well
It's
aware
coming.
of
It's
that.
coming right at you, Mr.
I'm
Man.
well aware of that. What do you make of this?
I think it's a logical step for Facebook, though. And, to me, it makes sense, actually. I think
They are finding a lot of creative ways to leverage off that audience.
they most certainly are. And to know that it's a workplace Facebook, I actually think that's going to curb, you know, I'm not going to say bad things about Lizzie if it is a social work thing as opposed to just a
it's
social
Never
thing.
vindictive. You know?
No, I'm not. I'm a love bug.
Really? Okay. The writing about saints just a cover. On issue 3, the government forcing strict fuel economy targets on auto companies, but with gas prices plummeting, customers opting for big gas guzzlers again. Tracy, is now the time for the government to be even pushing this?
They got to make an energy-efficient car that doesn't feel like a tin can. I would never put my children in a Volt or anything. I'm sorry, not to mention...
I would, depending on the day.
Depending on how rotten they were the day before, you mean? I get that. You have kids, you have stuff, you have kids with stuff. You need big cars.
Yeah, but you've been assuming that they're not great mileage is improved markedly.
America is a car culture. We
Absolutely,
born
but
and bred on
you
a
can
car
have your
culture.
cake and eat it too.
You can have your cake and eat it too, but you know, maybe just we take this a little bit sideways. You know, what I see from the Senate Minority Whip, Dick Durbin, he wants to raise the gas tax $1 a gallon. So that the free market giveth, you have extra money in your pocket, and then the government tries to somehow take it away. That's where I see the big issue if this actually happens.
You know, Tracy's right. People want bigger, safer cars to drive on the road. And, you know, government-imposed standards is really what killed the auto industry. I hate to say it. You know, and also making those fuel-efficient cars in unionized workshops. You know, you got to say to yourself, why is Tesla's final frontier really profit? Tesla has no profits yet. People don't want that car yet because they don't have an efficient battery yet. So we're not quite there yet. They're getting there, but they're saying by 2020 is when, and they'll have to build 3 million of those cars every year to get profitable.
They might rewrite this too, Neil, because to go to 54.5 miles a gallon, Lord.
Tracy, I'm older than you, but I can remember when they were just pushing 20 miles a gallon. Like, that was a big deal. We've cleared that early and then some. I mean, this is doable. Everyone can be satisfied.
The technology's there. The technology's there.
Have you seen these hybrid Suburbans?
They'll figure it out.
20 feet a gallon. Thank you.
20 feet.
I envision a Chevy Volt in your driveway in the near future.
Well, I'm not a hater like you. I've seen the Tesla on the, they're beautiful cars.
They're beautiful.
My business
Tesla
partner
is a
drives
beautiful car.
Tesla. It is
And
one
they
of
grow,
the
although
amazing
the people who
technological
drive it,
marvel.
no offense to you, those of you lucky enough to be driving, get over the arrogant thing. It's flicking people off when you drive down, because I see you down the highway, your charge is out, your battery is dead, and you're hitching a ride, aren't you? Right?
Yes. And I think the decision right now, Neil, when you go to buy a car, it is not gas. It's rarely gas.
For now, but you know as well, gas prices go up.
It's about safety.
Yeah.
You want
even
a car
when it
that's
was
safe.
$4, you still wanted the big armored tank to come down the highway.
Yeah,
would be me.
Americans like their big vehicles. It's just that simple.
Apparently, but I think, obviously you have open minds close here, don't they? Anyway, what Kim Jong-un and Vladimir Putin have in common? Well, they both hate us, and they're both teaming up against us.